Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Welcome to Shade Tree Wisdom. This is a little format I came up with to share back a lot of the things I've been learning about how to overcome addiction and past trauma and learn to live a happier and more peaceful life. So today's topic I wanted to talk about is something I just kind of recently have had some interesting revelations about, I guess. I don't know about you, but due to a lot of past trauma, like childhood trauma, even adult things that I've gone through, I guess you'd call them trauma, relationships ending, or just toxic people, my alcoholism, and all the consequences that caused. Those kind of things cause a lot of just built up like anxiety, resentment towards the people who hurt you, whether it was as a kid, if it was your parents, or somebody that was abusive to you, or as an adult, if it was even resentment towards yourself for, in my case, being an alcoholic caused me enormous consequences as an adult, which just stacked on top of all the stuff that was going on when I was a kid. So anyway, it has created a lot of anger and resentment, and I had a counseling session recently that the counselor asked me, what do you, when you think of being angry or resentful, what does that look like inside of you? And I said, well, it kind of looks like a big glowing burning orb, kind of just hot, heavy, ugly. And she said, okay, what would it look like if you took that out of you? Just visualizing this, right? Imagery is really powerful when it comes to trying to overcome things. And she said, what would it look like if you took that out of you and you held it in your hand? So we kind of like did a little exercise about that. Yeah, it's hot, it's heavy, it's big, it's glowing. Man, a bug just flew behind me and scared the crap out of me. It was so noisy. And so then, and this is where it got kind of tricky, she said, what if you could put that down? Can you sit that down on the ground and just walk away from it? And I was like, I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, I don't know. I've never done that. I've never thought to do that. It was very, it caused me a lot of anxiety, because that anger and resentment in me is like a big part of my ingredients that make up my recipe for my personality. The way I react to things has a lot to do with making sure that my guard is up and being cynical and jaded to a point, not trusting people, because you can't trust people because people are going to hurt you, right? You ever been there? Guilty. So she said, what would it look like to put that down? I was like, I don't know, that's scary. The thought of that's really scary. And so then she said, well, I want you to try and visualize yourself taking this giant, burning, heavy, ugly orb of anger and resentment and setting it on the ground. And so I said, well, what does that leave? Like, what replaces that in that void that's left? I don't know what to do with that. That's scary in itself. There's nothing there. This is part of me. This is how I react. This is how I live. This is like this existential part of my personality, is all of this guarded anger and stuff. What goes in the void? What replaces it? And she said, what do you want to replace it? I was like, well, I guess I want peace, love, the usual, right? Everybody wants that. And she said, okay, so what if you could visualize replacing that anger and resentment with peace and love. Love from all of your friends and family and loved ones, and just letting that all just fill it in. And I kind of got emotional about that. I was like, that's as scary as putting down the anger. And she goes, why? And I said, I thought about it, and I said, because that requires me to be vulnerable. And if I'm vulnerable, that means that people can hurt me. Have you ever had these kind of thought processes? Have you ever thought about this stuff? Think about that. Putting down old hard feelings, old anger, old resentment, old depression even, those kind of coping mechanisms that you came up with to deal with horrible trauma a long time ago, they're a part of your makeup of who you are. Whether they're good or bad, anything that's good or bad, it doesn't matter, it's still part of you. And putting that stuff down is really scary, because what do you replace it with? Well, peace and love. Well, that's all great and idealistic, but oh my God, that means I have to like allow people to be close to me and allow that love in. And for me, that's a pretty big deal, and it's pretty scary. So I think that one of the things, that was kind of where we ended talking about stuff, because that was pretty heavy. We talked about that pretty extensively, more than what I relayed. But I think one of the big takeaways from that, she said, what would you be like if you could replace all of that anger and resentment with peace and love? And I was like, it feels like it would make me like just this kind of unstoppably content person, or I would be able to grow more and progress more, and be better friend, be a better dad, be a better worker, anything. And so what I took away from it, in those visual images that we kind of created to help see it, is it was a lot of positivity. Like I feel like if you can visualize, creek crossing, if you can visualize getting rid of these things, you can also like really do it. And the excitement of thinking that would make so much more room for so much more positive is I like it, and I want to learn more about how to do that. So I think that's kind of what my focus has been here lately, is being able to, wow, they cut a lot of trees down over here. You see all that? My focus is going to be trying to learn how to visualize, and this is repetition, right? It's like self-talk or any kind of meditation or anything. Visualize being able to take that anger and resentment out of me, and visualize filling that void with allowing other people in deeper. And it will be hard, but it'll be worth it. At least I think so. What about you? So, visualizing taking the anger out is actually kind of not easy, but it's a little easier to imagine than the vulnerability part. How do we visualize so that we can actualize, to really make it happen, to allow people in and to be more vulnerable? I think it just comes with repetition, and since we're older, wiser, smarter, further away from those traumatic events, we can see that not everybody's out to hurt us. I mean, you know that, I know that. It's just you're stuck in those past things, that are like, you built all these guards up in yourself to make sure that people didn't hurt you anymore. And now you got to break that all down. And I think the way to break it down is just repetition of allowing people to be a little closer. Allowing yourself to go to more social gatherings with people where you might have otherwise, I'll cancel, I don't want to go, got a little anxiety about it, lots of people around. Maybe not being afraid to try going and dating again, or maybe by not being afraid to talk to your significant other about important things that need to be talked about, like what you feel, what you need, what will fill you up emotionally, that kind of stuff. What do they need to fill them up emotionally? Have those conversations that are kind of uncomfortable. And I think with repetition, that's how we can break the old bad habits. That's how we can knock down all of those really, really big unhealthy walls that we had to build to survive our youth, our young adulthood, when people were hurting us when we were powerless, right? Does that make sense? I hope it does. Visualizing things happening, and then repetition of kind of forcing ourselves to be a little bit uncomfortable but safe. And that repetition and the visualizing there's room for that growth to happen, because you visualize and you're working on getting rid of the anger, getting rid of the resentment, getting rid of the guardedness, the cynicism. It makes you realize there's room for growth. There's a space in you now that you can fill with positive things. And because you're more aware now, you have the power to control that. When your brain is telling you negative things, oh man, well, how am I supposed to get over this? If I fall in the mud, you better not laugh. Don't have very good balance right now. Okay. Whew. Not as sketchy as I thought. So, I'm just going to summarize. Visualize what the toxic, like the negative anger, resentment looks like inside of you. Visualize taking that out of your body and holding it in your hand. And visualize sitting it down on the ground and stepping away from it. That doesn't seem like much. I mean, it's just visualization, right? Wrong. It's a lot. It's a lot to think about because it's scary. And you got to have the next part of the plan. What do I do in place of this? We're going to fill it up with positivity and love and peaceful things. And then we're going to work on, and it's baby steps, it's going to take a while, but we're going to work on learning how to be more open, more conversational, being able to be in the company of others more without having to bug out and go home. And there's still only a certain amount of that people can tolerate. I have a very small social battery, so I discharge pretty quick and I gotta go home and just be an introvert. And that's okay. There's extroverts and there's introverts, and there's nothing wrong with either. But just trying to put yourself out and be more vulnerable, because as you have more experiences and interactions with others, you'll find you get a lot of positivity out of that. Don't be afraid to be brave and dig in to those things in your mind that are holding you back. If you feel like it holds you back, if you're afraid to think about it because it's too heavy, go see a counselor. Go see a counselor. Getting into therapy and starting to confront these things that are holding us back is how we can gain more peace. and be happier. And that is what it's all about, right? If we are, ooh, a frog. You see him? Oh, there he goes. He even gribbeted at me. I don't think he would like me pointing the camera at him. I don't know what I was talking about. Oh yeah, you know, the more that we are brave and face all of the ugly stuff in our head and make peace with it, control it, learn how to control it and manage it, the more we can make peace with those things, the more effective we can be as parents, partners, co-workers. Which way am I gonna go? I think I'll go this way. And that just automatically makes life happier for us and our kids. I mean, I want to be a better person for my kids. I want to learn so that I can teach them how to deal with the hard stuff. There's still trials that you have to go through, and a lot of the tools that you learn to manage your emotions, no matter what the scenario is, you still got to know how to do it. And me getting smarter this way, I can turn around and relay this to my kids and teach them how to be smarter and be able to manage their emotions and be more healthy. And being a good parent, that's number one. Over being a good employee, over being a good anything, you got to be a good parent. And getting control of your emotions and making sure that you're healthy and happy and not hiding in addiction or hiding in depression or, you know, just otherwise being chaotic or messy is super, super important for your kids. So if it's scary to do it for you, and you're like, I'd rather just live with these bad things that have me stuck than do it for your kids. Figure out how to work through some things, and I promise you it's worth it. I appreciate you walking with me. It is a hot and humid day out here in Missouri, but it's always a good day for a walk, right? Anyway, I hope you got something out of this, and I love you, and take care of yourself. Take care of your friends in a healthy way, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.